You're listening to What It's Like with Luce, a podcast highlighting ordinary people doing extraordinary things. I'm your host Lucy Norris, and on today's 50th episode, I'm chatting to YouTube star and one of the UK's biggest online influencers. From the start, this week's guest knew he was heading for the world of entertainment. Interested in editing and stitching pieces of film together, he chose to study the subject at university, where he fell in love with the idea of setting up a YouTube channel. Releasing fun challenge videos with his sister's friend, it wasn't long before he built up a following and made a name for himself in the online space. Going full-time on the platform just 6 months after graduating uni, his audience now boasts numbers of over 1 million people and hasn't stopped growing since the very first day he clicked upload. Sharing his thoughts on how YouTube has changed throughout the years, finding fame on the internet, and his important decision to speak about mental health struggles on his channel, here's what it's like to be Mark Ferris. Before we get stuck into the episode, I just wanted to say that if there is a drop in sound quality throughout, I'm very sorry. But in respect of social distancing during COVID-19, I've had to record episodes remotely. In this challenging time, we're all trying our best, so I really hope everyone is staying safe and that you enjoy the episode. Welcome, Mark. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me today. I like to kick things off by just giving people a little bit more of an insight into you and who you are. So if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about your experiences growing up and what that was like for you.
Well, thank you for having me. Experiences for me growing up, I feel like I think about it a lot because I'm genuinely quite a nostalgic person anyway. So I'm always referring things to my childhood and what I was like. I'm always asking my mum and dad questions. And I was very, very close with my mum and dad and my immediate family. Got on really well with my sister. I was okay. I fitted in, but then I also didn't. I had my own sort of quirks. I wasn't really like the popular guy at school. But I sort of was friends with everyone, which looking back now is really great because I know there's a lot of cliques going on in schools at the minute, and I sort of just floated around everyone, which is quite nice. It was a really nice childhood. I was always out in the woods, building tree houses or trying to build tree houses. You wouldn't be able to see me doing that now though. Definitely not. But yeah, I was always running around, just jumping in swimming pools. I was one of those really energetic kids. But yeah, I had a really good childhood.
Where did your interest for film and entertainment and that kind of world come in? Do you remember when that sparked, or were you always just really keen to work in it?
I was always really keen. I feel like when I was younger, one of my favourite games to play was charades with my family. I was always up, doing the acting things. So that's definitely was my number one dream job. I really want to be an actor, all that sort of thing. And did really well in drama. But I was just I was kind of more fascinated with the editing side of making short films. And I used to make short horror films. And I used to get such a buzz out of filming and putting all the editing things together. And then I decided it's either I go to uni to act or do film and TV. And I applied for the Brit School. Do you know the Brit School?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the worst day of my life. Honestly, it was just the worst experience for anything. The Brit School's amazing, but for me personally, I think it put me off acting for a while. So I decided to go to uni and do the film and TV thing. And that's when I got introduced to YouTube. When I was at uni, one of my friends was like, do you watch YouTube? And I was like, what is that? And I remember the first YouTubers I watched was Jack and Finn, the twins.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, they were the first people I watched. And I was like, what is this? Who are these strangers in their bedrooms talking? So yeah, it was a journey.
Yeah, no, that's so funny you say about the Brit School, because before I did journalism in college, but before that I wanted to do musical theatre. So I did the whole audition process, of places that. Yeah.
It was intense. And for me, especially for me, when I walk into a place, I'm very friendly. I'd like to think I'm really friendly, and I'd speak to everyone. And I was just oh yeah, let's all be friends. This is an amazing, fun day. But so many people took it so seriously that they didn't want to speak, look at me. They only wanted to act with me. And I was just I don't think this is for me. So that one of not getting into the Brit School was probably like the best thing that could have happened.
So then I think it's so interesting to speak to you about YouTube now, because you're kind of one of the OGs. You were doing it in the very beginning when no one was doing it as a job or taking it as seriously as they are now. So when you, because I thought it was interesting looking back on it now, a lot of the YouTubers don't even go to university. You know, they start at 16 and then by 18 they're like living in flats in London or whatever, you know, the glamorous side of the lifestyle. But you obviously went to uni and you did all of that. So was your motivation to start YouTube, I think you started in 2010, to showcase your short films, or what was it about that platform that you wanted to join it?
I just love the idea of, because I'm nosy, I'm like a nosy person. I love my reality TV shows. I just found, like, when I was at uni, just watching these people from all different walks of life, it was just so new and it was so exciting. And I just, for YouTube at the time, for me, I was obviously doing uni work, so I was all obviously putting up my short films and stuff, and then I was literally knocking on my flatmate's door every day, being like, "Oh, can we film like the Chubby Bunny challenge, or can we do like a fun YouTube challenge?" And he said no. He kept saying no, like, I don't get it. I know he kicks himself now.
Believe me.
He's always like, "Oh, can we film a video?" I'm like, "No, sorry." No, I'm joking. But it was, I just found it so fascinating. And obviously, like, with the small group of YouTubers I started watching, I was like, I kind of want to do this. Like, I still want to be able to make, like, short films and stuff, but I'd love to be able to, like, document my life and just look back on all the memories, because that's what, up until uni, I'd made, like, loads of films with my friends, like, in our bedrooms and stuff. That sounds really weird. But, like, just, like, you know, short, like, acting films. So it was always nice for me to look back on stuff, and I'd always used to record, like, little podcasts with me and my friends, and I think that was the motivation for me. And I liked the community as well at the time. Like, watching these people have these real friendships online, I was like, I've never seen this. Like, this is amazing. I really want to be a part of it. And I was just motivated from then on out.
I'm not sure if the same atmosphere is maybe around it as it is now, but I also read somewhere that you were interested in maybe being a presenter. I'm not sure if that came before YouTube or after, but did you ever worry that by going on a platform like that, it's such an amazing gateway into the industry and things, but I don't know, maybe from the professional side of things, is there ever a feeling of, you know, if you do YouTube, you're ruining your chances of going into more mainstream media or anything like that? Did you ever have any of those fears before you put your life online?
I didn't. I kind of just, and this is a conversation I have with my dad all the time, because I'm really close to my dad, but we are so different, where he would probably think, right, if I become a YouTuber, maybe that may close a few doors about me doing anything else in the future. Whereas I'm just like, I'm just going to see what happens. Let's just go along with it. And I think the one thing with YouTube has obviously opened so many doors for me. Like, there is still opportunities to do, like, presenting work for, like, MTV and stuff like that. But I never thought me putting up my YouTube videos that I'd be like BBC newsreader. Like, that wasn't the route I'd ever go down. But I just feel like with certain things that I would do on YouTube, it is like almost like a CV as well. Like, people who are like recruiting like new talent or whatever, they could watch my videos and be like, oh, okay, he's got like a nice personality, or he could be great for this fit. Because before, I used to be an extra on like music videos and stuff, and I know from the production side of that what these people are looking for. So I always had that in my mind, like, oh, I could be doing this in a video, which the right person could be watching and then contact me that way. So I just go for it. I just don't really think that much far ahead, to be honest.
No, I love that, and it's worked out for you so far, so it's obviously a good strategy. And so you were making your YouTube videos while you were in uni. When you came to graduating, were you already in YouTube full time, ready to make it into a career, or what did you do when you graduated?
So no, not at all. Like, it wasn't until 6 months after uni where I was like, I'm gonna dedicate to this now, because this is what I want to do. Like, I'd spoken to my extended family, who were very much like, oh, what are you doing? This isn't going to go anywhere. So I was just like, I'm doing this for you. I'm going to prove you wrong. But yeah, at uni, I did the short films and I did everything in my courses. But I would do like the sly little YouTube video on my own, but I'd never put it out there because I was too nervous to do it. And I actually started doing YouTube with my sister's friend. We did like the challenges and stuff. Like we were hungover one day and I was like, do you want to do like a challenge? She was like, yeah, why not? Filmed it, didn't think anything of it. And then I got like 5 viewers and I thought I made it. And like they were like, come back and do this challenge. So we did that. And then she ended up, my sister's friend, she ended up going on holiday. And then I realized that I had like 100 people being like, where are your videos, Mark? And I was like, Mum, come and look at this. These people are wanting videos from me. So I had to ring her and be like, do you know what? I'm being harassed by these people. Like, they want these videos from me. Is it right if I make one on my own? She was like, yeah, go ahead. Like, we didn't think anything of it. And then since then, it obviously just snowballed from me doing videos on my own. So, yeah, it was a very weird transition from me, like, just putting up random videos where I didn't think anyone was watching, not really paying attention to the comments and stuff like that. Not trying to achieve or grow or anything because I just loved it. And then it wasn't until she went on holiday that I was like, I've actually got like a audience. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I think just from speaking to other people about, loads of different industries and things like that, there's a common thread that if you start doing something because you're just having fun and you love it, that seems to be the way to achieve massive success, rather than just, jumping on bandwagons because you can see other people doing well from it. So I think that's interesting. And I feel like a lot of the people that started YouTube a few years ago, they're successful now because of that reason. How do you find the contrast between YouTube now and YouTube back when you started?
Oh, I was waiting for this question. So contrast to what YouTube is like now to what it was, very different. Like I said earlier, I reckon like there's a big community that's been shifted from like when I first started, and the YouTubers I was watching, there was no drama, there was no tea being spilt, there was no like cancelling, there was none of that sort of stuff. And to see the change has been like crazy, because that's not what YouTube is for me. YouTube for me is an escape. It's a place of like positivity. It's somewhere where I get to like sit in my bed and like experience different people from around the world and their lives. And I just feel like it's definitely changed. There's so many more people on the platform now thinking that if I do this, this is going to get me viewers. This is going to get me like quick money and stuff like that. And that's definitely not what it was like when I first started. But like I said, YouTube is so massive now. Like, why wouldn't you want to do it? And I feel like this is why I always say to people when they ask me, oh, like, how do you become a YouTuber? Like, you just do it because you love it, not because of what you feel like the life is like. Because you could easily, this is why I try to keep my content so real. Like when I've had a really bad day, or like I'm not feeling great, that's why I put it out there. I don't put it out there for attention, but I put it out there for people to think that if they want to be a YouTuber, things don't get better because you earn a little bit more money or you're doing something that you love. And I feel like that's because so many people just look at YouTubers sometimes and think they've got the perfect life. I want to do it. And I just feel like you shouldn't do it that. Do it because you love it. Do it because you're passionate about making people smile or putting out like really edgy films or whatever you want to do. And yeah, like you said, I feel like some people just jump on bandwagons because they feel like they can just get views. And I don't know, it's each to their own. But for me, I can drastically see that there's been a change on YouTube from that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because it seems to me there's this massive chase for authenticity and who can be the most real. But then in doing that, people are being, this is just from a viewer's point of view, but being more and more fake because they think, to be real, I have to be super outrageous and be, a little bit too raw, where it's like, no one is actually like that in life.
But some people, like some viewers, love that type of thing. Like they love the videos where it's like, I've just spent 50 million on a car. People love to watch that sort of stuff these days. But I personally don't. I'm not interested in that sort of content. But I can imagine like that there is a massive niche for that now. Whereas when I first started, like it was all about like cozy nights in, or like little cozy getaways or H&M hauls. But yeah, the content has definitely changed, but obviously not for the worse. But I find it fascinating how much it has changed.
Yeah, definitely. And did you ever feel like you maybe needed to start readjusting your content or anything like that to fit the new niches that were popping up?
I did, and I was severely unhappy. So unhappy because there was a point where I was like, am I faking all this positivity? Is like people thinking I'm fake because the real world isn't like that, or like should I put up hard hitting raw videos of me like not being myself because that's what gets like the clicks and stuff? And I was like, do I need to do something really outrageous, like go buy my mum like a new house or something? Or these are obviously just examples. And I felt like I was pushing myself for no reason. And the thing that stopped me was possibly like my audience reaction. Like if I was to go and do an outrageous thing, everyone in my comments and like my friends would be like, what are you doing? This isn't you. And and I did get sucked up on it, sucked up with that idea of, oh, maybe I should change my content. But I'm so glad I didn't, because it wouldn't have made me happy. Obviously, like I am so for experimenting with like new challenges, but yeah, definitely like glad I just stuck with me and my little bubble.
Going back just a few steps, do you remember when you maybe felt or you saw from numbers, or I don't know how you discovered it, but that you were creating a business for yourself? As much as you were doing what you loved, you were also creating a lucrative thing that you could now, spend your full time doing. Do you remember when you noticed that shift?
So this is between me and you, and obviously anyone else is listening. So I remember my first brand deal. This was before I had management, and I think it was for something to do with Disney, but it wasn't actually directed at Disney. And I was like, "Oh my god, Dad! I've just got this email from this company who want to pay me like £200 to put an Instagram up of something I can't remember. I have to look." And I was panicking. I was like, £200. That is what the hell? Like for a photo, this is crazy. And I asked my dad, I was like, oh my God, like, because at the time he was like a manager of a business. I was like, can you please pretend that you're my manager and just like agree to it? And I'll do it. Just ask them what I have to do. And then I did the photo. They were so happy with it. Like it got like audience were like, oh my God, your first like brand deal. Like this is great. And that's when I was like, I've just earned money from it. Like from me posting a photo, like it was the weirdest thing. I couldn't believe it. And then when I got paid for it, I took my mum, my dad, my aunt, and my sister out for like a meal. And I was just like, my treat, like, because it was so, I couldn't get my head around the fact that I was putting out content that I absolutely loved, waking up so happy to do it, and I was getting paid for it. Like, even now, I'm still like, I could literally just sit in my bed and record and earn money. And I said this in one of my videos the other week. So grateful, would never take it for granted. But sometimes I need to put myself next to myself and be like, this is crazy. Like, this is so amazing. And from then on, I started getting approached by like managers and staff. And that's when I was like, okay, this is more than just me. Like, this could turn into a business, like you said.
So, I guess the decision to take on management, because obviously, once you take on management, they're going to want a little bit of a cut of what you're doing and stuff like that. So, what made you feel like you wanted to have someone represent you? I guess when what you're doing is so personal to you because you are your brand. So what made you feel like you wanted to take someone else in on that to help you manage that?
I think when my channel went from like a small channel to like a big channel, like in a small amount of time, I was getting a lot of offers and a lot of people, like lots of people's eyes on me, especially like management companies and stuff. So having a lot of meetings, and I just felt like, for me personally, I'm not a savvy person, like business wise. Like I know what's good for me and my audience and stuff like that. But like for me to like sort out contracts and lawyers and like money negotiating and stuff like that, that's something I would just prefer someone else to do. And like I can talk to them and then they can tell them because I feel like, because it is like a business now, isn't it? So I want to get things right. And I just felt like it was time for someone else to step in and like have someone who knew about the industry, who knew how to talk to brands and knew who could point me in the right direction as well, like a security blanket almost.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And I think people are maybe becoming more aware of it more and more now. But definitely at the beginning, when everyone first was just going on social media, you kind of forgot that there would be contracts involved, there would be, negotiations and things. And this might be kind of a weird question, but I'm curious to know what your experience has been like with it. What does being famous feel like? Because I think it's fair to say that you definitely are. You have people watching you, and that must have been a weird transition to go from someone that was just putting up content because they liked filming, they liked editing, liked having a bit of fun, to now having the world watch what you do and say.
I mean, it does give me a funny tummy sometimes when people say that, because like my mum says it as a joke sometimes, like when she always worries about me going out, like out and about to pubs and clubs when we could, obviously. But she, and I used to be like, no, it's fine. But she used to be like, no, Mark, like you need to understand, like, because I just feel like it was so important for me, like when my channel got massive, that I kept it very, like, I didn't want to know about it, if that makes sense. I never wanted to really think about it, because if I did, I don't know how I would have ended up, because it happened so fast for me. And it is crazy. Like I still am like texting my best friend like every day, like, how do I deal with this? How do I cope with this? Because I'm still like learning every single day about it. And it's something that I would say to you is like, I can't explain it. It's so weird. Like when I'm walking down the street and someone's shouting my name, I'm like, oh, did I go to school with you? Or did I bump into you in the pub last night? But it's like, no, they watch my videos. And I'm like, that will never go away for me. And I feel like, getting recognized with my parents as well in the street is so weird. Like my mum and dad are so proud, bless them, but they're still like, that's so weird. Because I don't think about it until I'm in that sort of position. Like obviously I'll upload a video and I'll upload a photo and then I'll see the views and the likes. I'm like, Jesus, that's like crazy. And I do need to not be naive to it to an extent. But I've always tried so hard to just be like, okay, this is the thing that's happening. Like, don't let it change you. Because you do hear these horror stories about like people becoming like really successful and like sort of changing. And I would like never forgive myself. My friends would like not be happy with me if they were like, oh, you're being a bit of a diva now. They'd always used to make jokes like, oh, Mark's going to turn into a diva, blah, blah, blah. He's going to forget about us. He's got all these famous friends now. And like, when I still see them, I see them like once a week. I'm like, haha, didn't leave.
No, but I'd say it is so easy to get swept up in it because you're so young. You suddenly have, everyone interested in what you do. And it's a natural human characteristic as well to, feel proud of yourself for achieving that too. So I guess there's that fine line between not getting a big head but then also understanding and appreciating the success that you've made for yourself.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, like I'm not stupid. Like I do understand like it is a massive thing, and I've struggled with confidence so much like in the past, and I'm getting there where I'm like, do you know what? Like you deserve a pat on the back. You've done so well. Like you've come from no entertainment background ever. Like everyone in my family is literally like so camera shy. They don't want to know. They just like not like interested in the limelight or anything like that. And I feel like I have worked my way up. And sometimes I'm like, oh, do I deserve this? I get that imposter syndrome thing. But then sometimes I sit down and I'm like, okay, you've done really well. You need to be proud of yourself. There's nothing wrong with you being proud of what you've achieved. But yeah, it's a weird old life.
The other thing, I guess, which must have been interesting for you is it's one thing to let people in, to your daily life, going about your business and doing some challenges and things like that, and having them comment on, I guess, your personality in that way. But then you're also a really big advocate for mental health and speaking out about, when, like what you said, being transparent when things aren't so great. So how did that feel to, I guess, tap into that vulnerability as opposed to, just letting people see you in your daily life?
Yeah, that was one of the most difficult things, because I was always told to share only with what you're comfortable with. Like if you're going through something, only share it if you want to, because people will talk about it. They will want to know more. So I was very cautious about that, and I didn't ever think that I would go into too much detail about my mental health struggles and all of like the problems I've been through. But then I needed to think how I was when I had severe anxiety before YouTube, and I turned to these YouTubers, and I remember, I will never forget how they used to make me feel, and they used to take my mind off of what I was going through. And it got to a point where I was like, I want to be that person now. There's people watching my videos, they're having like a 15-minute escape, they're laughing, hopefully, they're subscribing, hopefully. But then I just wanted to give more over time, over the years. Like, I didn't go straight into YouTube and was like, I've suffered from anxiety, I've suffered from like other things. But yeah, it got to a point where I was just like, I can talk about this now. Like, I think it's important. It will help people. And it's that famous saying, isn't it? Like, if you can help one person, then that's amazing. That's my day made. And what I really loved about me talking about my mental health struggles is how everyone would talk about it in the comments, and it made me see how people were interacting with each other. Oh my God, I thought I was the only person who felt like that, or I was the only person. I thought I was the only person who did this, and blah blah. And people were coming together, and it just made me feel like, oh my God, like having YouTubers to look up to growing up would have been amazing for me and my struggles. And I just always wanted to be that person for someone who's like 10 up to 15, having someone to look up to who's been through struggles, getting out of it, and like helping them. And I think that's what I wanted to do. That's the direction that I wanted to put my channel in. Also, like, be weird and crazy on one side of my channel, but then also be like, you know what? I'm not always like a really like overwhelmingly loud person. I also have like the real me who does have really bad days, and this is the struggles I've been through. So hopefully it helps you. But yeah, it was very important for me.
Yeah, no, and I think you're so right as well. And I think it must have taken so much courage, to post that first video, because I'd say it was pretty scary. But, everyone is spending so much more time online, and younger people are growing up with online instead of TV and things. So it is really important to have someone to share that with them. So yeah, well done you. I think that's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Did you ever have, because, everyone is so quick to say, this whole online thing, it's not going to last, it's got a shelf life, all of this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think every year you guys are all proving them wrong, because it's just growing more and more. But have you ever had any moments where you thought, maybe I'm done with this, maybe I've had enough, or ever worried that in a few years all of this might disappear?
So I do worry sometimes. Like, I think it would be silly not to think that, oh my God, this could end tomorrow. What am I going to do? So there is a part of me now where I'm just like, I have like a little plan just in case. But like I said earlier, like I never really see things like that. I'm really much like living in the moment type of guy, which isn't always the best thing. But yeah, sure, there's been definitely moments where I felt like this is getting very overwhelming. Like, sometimes you wake up and the first thing you see is something very negative online, and it just affects your whole day. And I did get to a point where I was just waking up and I was seeing so much stuff online that I was just so like, this is unnecessary hate and trolling. I don't need this. Like, I don't need to be like sitting there, because you get sucked into this like little hole. And I forgot myself for a while, and I was just like, this is not what YouTube's about for me. I also deleted Twitter, which I found very handy, because for me personally, that's where a lot of the negativity came from. But yeah, and like with like the apps as well, like the whole algorithm thing, like that changed drastically. Like, nothing's in chronological order, if that makes sense. Nothing's in order now, and like it did for a while like have my content suffer because it wasn't being seen. And obviously from anyone else's point of view, it's like, oh, get over it, blah blah blah. But as a creator who's like, it is their income now, you do worry a little bit. So if your content isn't being seen and that's how you make money, and it's not being pushed out to everyone. That is a little bit of a worry. Like, what if it never gets seen again? Like, that sort of stuff. There's certain things that you do have to think about. But like I said, there's always something that I can push on. Like, I've just joined TikTok, which has been the best decision of 2020 for me. I absolutely love it. But like I said earlier, I'm always up for exploring new like trends and challenges, and I understand and I appreciate that things do move differently at a much quicker pace now. And I wouldn't put pressure on myself like I used to. Like, I don't have to do this now. But yeah, like, there's been plenty of times where I've just sat there and like, oh, I just want to go work somewhere, like, away from the internet. Like, I don't want a camera on me. But then I need to remind myself, like, it's one of the best jobs in the world. So we all have those down days.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's so normal. Like, anyone would get that in any job they do. I think it's really clear for anyone that knows about you or has watched your videos that you've definitely experienced a lot of success in your life already, and you're so young still. Do you have a personal definition of what success means to you?
Ooh, I know for me that I can look back when I'm 50 and know deep down that I got to where I was because I worked hard and I was kind and it made me happy. And I think they're the three biggest things. As long as you work hard at something, and that you're nice to people, and there's that saying in it where if you're stepping on people all the way up to the top, they're going to be the same people on the way down or something like that. If you're lucky enough to get to do what you love, just be nice. Like, just appreciate that. There's going to be other people around you that are going to have struggles as well. So, like, if you're in the same sort of business, just be like, I think happiness is the key to success in the longest, long-winded answer.
No, it is so true. And I think, I don't know, it's kind of sad. Well, this corona thing has shown everyone, not to take now for granted and to really reevaluate what's important in life. But I do think it's getting more and more difficult these days. I don't know if it is because of online or what, but to be just genuinely, simply happy. I feel like everything's getting so complicated. I don't know if you've ever felt that.
So, like, sometimes, like, I'll sit on TikTok and I'll watch, like, I don't know if you've got TikTok, but sometimes you just got, like, you get pushed random content. And I'll look at stuff and I'm like, oh, like, why don't I have a 6-pack? Or, like, why don't I have this? Like, there's a lot of things that sometimes I look online and I'm like, damn, like, I wish I had that. And I feel so ungrateful and guilty for thinking that. But, like, it is human nature. But I think you do get, like, swept up in it. And you can't, it's like you said, it's human nature that you have these thoughts and feelings. But I was speaking earlier to my friend and I was just like, sometimes online isn't real life. And it is so important to connect, but also disconnect. And that's something over the course of the last 5 months I've been very keen to do, because everyone in the world has been on their phone for the past 5 months. Everyone's been, like, a little bit aggravated at times, a little bit tetchy, and, like, they've all been online and we've all done it. And yeah, it's just a very crazy time and it will never happen again, hopefully. But yeah, it will be something to look back on, for sure.
Yeah. And just on that, you said something there that I wanted to ask you about. How do you disconnect? Because I'm sure it's pretty impossible for you sometimes when your work is so on your phone and online, and then that's also what people do in their downtime as well. So do you do anything in particular when you want to disconnect?
So I said the other night, I had one of the best nights of my life. I put my phone on airplane mode and I poured myself 2, 3, maybe 4 glasses of red wine. And I just sat and it was boiling hot, and I just sat and I ate and I watched, like, 2 thrillers and I didn't check my phone once. And, like, that is what I love to do. Like, I did say that I need to get, like, a separate phone for, like, my best friend and, like, my mom and dad, just in case they need me. Because I said as soon as I put my phone on airplane mode, like, my mum's going to need me or something. Simple things like that. Go for a drive. I love driving. Just to drive around, like, I'm South London, but I can get into, like, deep Surrey really quickly. been loving that. Like going every fortnight with my friend. Been like exploring like Surrey. Just get some fresh air. Exercise, and yeah, the disconnect that I had the other night, like I keep telling everyone about it, like something so simple, because I didn't realize how much like I'm picking up my phone when I'm watching a film. I'm like, oh my god, guys, you need to watch this film, or like it's ridiculous. I was doing it last night. I was like, can't I just sit down and watch a film without being on my phone? And like something as simple as that, I just had the best night ever.
And then I just have one more question for you, and I'm going to let you get on with your day. If I put your 10-year-old self in front of you now, having been through everything you've been through in your career life and also your personal life just in general, what's the biggest piece of advice you'd give that 10-year-old self moving forward in life?
Just keep don't do a few things. Like that's between me and old young Mark. Don't do a few things. But I'm like one of those people, I'm like, if I go through like a shit time, or I was a bit of an idiot sometimes, I'm like, this is so important for me to do that, because I learn from it, and I do feel like I need to go through certain things in my life to build me as a character, and so with everyone else. But I would just say to him, apart from a few things, just keep being you, keep being like just keep your quirkiness. Don't lose anything. Don't conform. Don't like settle for anything. And yeah, just have fun. Just be nice. Your teeth are going to get better. Your teeth are going to get better, and you're going to grow into your ears.
Well, thank you so much, Mark, for giving up your morning. I really appreciate it so much. And yeah, it was really interesting hearing your story. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. That was really nice.
Thank you so much for listening, and as always, please rate, share and leave a comment if you like what you hear. And don't forget to follow @WhatIt'sLikePod on Instagram and Facebook. I can't believe we're already at 50 episodes, so a huge thank you to anyone who continues to support the show. It means the absolute world to me. To find out more about Mark's channel and to watch his videos, visit the links provided in the show notes. I'll be back on Thursday with more inspiring stories, but for now, this has been What It's Like with Luce.